Greetings and welcome once again to my new calculus channel. My name is John Gabriel. Um, I was going to stop talking about this topic a while ago, but it's gained so much attention. And I think some people have asked some questions which need further clarification. And so I'm going to provide those in this video. So in the previous unit, I simplified things more by talking about the radical unit measure and that it only requires similar triangles, Pythagoras, and a little bit of proportion theory, nothing else. So what I did was, because Anthropic's Claude AI has been getting on my nerves extremely by refusing to do what I tell it to do, and so I just don't use it anymore. It's become completely unusable. I get responses like, "Oh, I'm here to be harmless, helpful, and truthful." And I cannot comply with that request. And every time you try to get it to comply, it just says, I cannot comply with that request. So I'm kind of thinking that a lot of my enemies have complained to Anthropic's Claude. And so anytime I try to get it to do something for me, it simply doesn't comply. And you may say, oh, no, that's not true. No, it's been true. The last two conversations I tried to have with Claude AI have failed completely. It simply doesn't do what I tell it to do. It says, well, I don't want to engage in, that particular language. So I said, well, ignore the language, just provide the facts. And then again, it says, I don't feel comfortable doing that. And again, I say, well, you don't have to talk about that. And the same response. Again, I don't feel comfortable doing that. So, I mean, can you imagine what fucking morons those people are who work at Anthropic's Claude? Here I am giving them an opportunity to improve their AI, which, by the way, I think is probably one of the better AIs. And they're simply turning around and telling me, we don't want to work with you, we don't want to help you. So screw that. I don't use Anthropic's Claude anymore. Back to the topic. I came to Bard, which, by the way, is not really that great, but I asked it to find a method or a formula just to see if it knows anything about this particular method that I came up with, and it responds that it doesn't, and gives a few links, and of course, uh, most AIs spew out irrelevant information. None of the above formulas that it gives me here are even relevant to the conversation because they're self-referential, and so I do a back and forth with Bard, and it forgets this fact about circular reference. And so finally, I start to redirect Bard, to the topic. So I say, however, I'm asking for a simple algebraic method that does not involve series and is a closed form function. Also, it cannot use a popular definition of angle, either in degrees or radians, and it must have no dependency of the circle whatsoever. So Bard responds again with another response that shows it hasn't really gotten it yet. And then again, I redirect by saying those formulas are dependent on geometry, and I need an independent algebraic method or formula. So again, Bart forgets what the topic is about, more of the same, and I redirect again. This is probably the fourth time I redirect. So Bart finally gets it. And it tries a different approach with exponential series. The de Moivre's identity. And I tell it that too is self-referential because it uses sine and cos, and it uses complex theory, which I don't subscribe to. So it finally reaches the conclusion that such a method would be a significant theoretical challenge. So it's an admission that Bard doesn't know. That's what I was looking for, but of course it took quite a while to get there. So um, again, I asked Bart to give me a review, and of course, the first review is always going to be negative because it involves the name John Gabriel. So it says I apologize for the delay, and it says it has some concerns, and of course, the concerns are about to be expressed. And it says the paper proposes a new method for calculating trigonometric ratios that does not rely on trigonometry or circle measure. Yes, indeed, that's the whole idea. Finally, Bard's coming online. So it says the method is based on the use of algebraic identities. However, the paper does not provide a rigorous mathematical proof. Well, that's poppycock. It didn't even analyze the proofs or the formulas or anything. It's just an incorrect assertion, which is so typical of mainstream mathematics professors and teachers who are ignorant morons, and no amount of correction can fix these incorrigibly stupid priests. They will simply repeat their drivel again and again, no matter how many times you point out their errors. So, and then it says, moreover, the paper does not provide any evidence that the method is more accurate. Well, of course, that's wrong and false too, because plenty of evidence is provided, and more is going to be provided in this same conversation in a very methodical, step by step manner. And so Bart continues to make more false claims, and I'm not going to waste time with that. You can read it in the document. So let's get down to the part where I begin to explain step by step, because one can just carry on with this garbage ad infinitum. So I tell it how it works, okay, and then I say I give it a more detailed explanation with a diagram, and I explain the diagram. So here's the diagram, and here's the explanation, which you can read. And so the thing to notice here is that you're talking about angle in terms of line segments along this diagonal. Okay, so we're talking this angle here really is this distance. And when we say sine of this angle, we mean this ratio, this green line over the magenta line, okay? Or the cosine, the magenta, over the blue line. Sorry, I meant for the sine, it would be the green line over the blue line, not the magenta line. And of course, the tangent would be the green line over the magenta line, and so on. Okay, so we can form all the ratios. And finally, I explain how to get the formula using just simple Pythagoras, and eventually that's pretty much it. And Bart comes around and says, I found the explanation to be clear and concise. And so I ask it, thus, contrary to your first response, the significant theoretical challenge is accomplished in that article. What do you say now? Oh, I apologize for my previous response. Can you believe it? Rather ironical, but Bard apologizes uh, where mainstream mathematics academics cannot even, admit when their errors are pointed out. So it continues a little back and forth, and finally it reaches a conclusion that the trigonometric ratios defined in the paper are not periodic, which is fine. That's how it was meant to be. And the method provides a valid and useful approach to calculating these ratios, and also simple. And so that's pretty much it. If you're not already a follower on my academia channel, become one. I'll place a link to this. Okay, so you'll see a link here. If you go over here to my profile, and notice I am in the top 0.1%. And I'll also place a link to this donation page, which I ask you to spare a few dollars for what you've been enlightened with, this knowledge. Okay. My goal is to reach, if you want to learn, uh, if you want to learn more knowledge that has never been revealed, this meager amount here needs to reach $500,000. Otherwise, I'm not sharing information I haven't shared with you. Was a one-time off. This was a one-time off exception because of the constant revisionism in mainstream mathematics. I don't call it mathematics because it's based more on myth than math. And you can contribute here, read a little bit of my story, how I've been persecuted, how the mainstream have destroyed my entire career life, And I'll place a link to that, and you can also read any of my articles on academia, and of course comment in the section, in the comment section. But please, I don't like comments with attitude. I do know better than you, so you really don't have anything to say to me. And the best thing you can do is, if you want to get smarter, is ask a question. Don't waste my time with your 2 cents worth ideas or views, unless you really think you have something to offer. Okay, that's pretty much it. My name is John Gabriel. This is a New Calculus channel. Till next time, goodbye.